SLC update for the 8th of October for the QuasiDB service. Your monthly pivot for AJ is 75.94. We are close. Close above today it would be quite bullish for tomorrow's close. And they were saying about the stimulus bill and the likelihood of that. Now that Pelosi's cornered, it's going to be likely that it's going to happen before the election. So if it does, then things like this are going to rally. We know that the yen bubble is weak, and we know what the Aussie bubble's doing. It moved into strong buy last night. So we pitch strong versus weak, then you get a good bias. So keep an eye on this 75.94. Your SLC above is 76.02. SLC below 75.38. And at that point they sold, but they crossed the 50% line here. If you can see, at that point they shorted it. If I just move my mouse, yeah, at that point they went short, and so that's what we have as a result. AU, likewise with AJ, that stimulus bill gets approved, this will rally. SLC was 71.70 and 70.89. Keep an eye on the greens. Moving averages are strong, stochastics are strong. We are a buy, and they sold it here. So, but it's a little bit sideways. EA, SLC 16436, close, and above 16602, sideways, and it's quite bearish on the technicals. EU above 11810, so it's just like a little bit on above the round number, and 11743. We are a buy, and they've been short for a while. Since the last 10 days they've been pretty short, so up it comes. Your monthly pivot's 117.80. We're really close. See how we tested it there, but we had a rejection. So keep an eye on your monthly pivots. They're going to be a line in the sand today, and a good bias as well. GU 12952, 12903. This was a signal last week that went awry, and a signal this week that went awry. So I think I might deactivate this one potentially. See how we go. If it still fails next week, I'll probably deactivate it until the Brexit negotiations are over, because we're just seeing some ridiculous chop on the sentiment. So we'll give it a trial run next week. If you do see a pound USD signal, then be advised there are Brexit nonsense ongoing. So I personally wouldn't take it. We are a buy. SLC looks like we're going to trigger it. There's lots of bullish price action. Check your Heiken Ashi candles. Above 12951, so we're 10 pips away. 12902. Kiwi above, we've got 6630 and 6483. We are a buy, but they're going long, and this is why we had that signal to sell, because they went long. But yeah, it's a bit of a tricky one. Monthly pivot's there, so technically bearish, 6638. But if the dollar's going to weaken, then this is going to come up. So EJ 12490 and 12448. We are a buy, and they sold it here, and then they sold it again, and then they sold it again, like in waves almost. So we're probably going to get the SLC above, I think, because we know the yen bubble's weak, and we know the euro bubble's strong. So that's your bias. Just look at the bubbles, and you'll be in pretty good shape, really. So this is actually a buy for us because of the movement across time, how they sold it. Because they sold it, it's a buy on the dynamic, and the bubbles are the dynamic movement across time. So SLC is 1375, 13678. So that explains why we had the buy signal. Even though at the high level it's a sell, we ignore this, but we look at the dynamic. So at that point they sold. See how it reflects. There's your peak. UJ 106.15 and 105.69. Likewise, sold it. So yeah, and your monthly pivot's here, so 105.34. We are in a good position for UJ. Dollar CAD. Now this is taking out the SLC as we speak. It was large, 5.83. That is definitely taken, I believe. Yeah, we've taken it out. One above is 13350. So that's whether or not it gets larger or smaller, it depends, because if it gets larger, we'll see more bearish price action, and if it gets smaller, we might see a reversal. And really, look at fundamentals as well. That's going to be a key. If you ever trade in this pair, check oil and then check risk for the USD. And we are a sell at the high level, and they're going long. So it's funny how that point, at that peak, it flipped. So if you can get the FXSI indicators, get the ratios tool, and just use the average line. So uncheck all of these ones and just use the average. Look at that. So, if you caught that little blip here, you would have done quite well. Yeah, it's 103 pips. It's just on that indicator. Anyway, dollar Swiss, SLC 91.87, 91.29. We are a sell, and they're holding on to that bias. So we should see price come down, and technically, it's looking quite bearish. Monthly pivots here, 91.67. So it's a very, very good risk to reward if you did fancy it, because that would be your stop loss. And you know that the things are aligned because, the technical and the technicals and the sentimental. So it's a 7 pip stop for potential, so 35 pips. So yeah, so 5R. This is pretty good. Gold, no, this is going to be a tricky one. Remember the SLC was a lot higher yesterday, but they brought it down. 1901, I think that's going to be likely. Signals up, and they're selling. And SLC below is 1870. And just a quick look at S&P. Yeah, it's just ridiculous. It's that stimulus bill on the carrot on the stick. So that's been dangled in front of investors' faces, and it's apparently likely it's going to get approved according to the bookmakers. So that's keeping interest, and I think this is just going to rally like crazy if it does get approved. So keep an eye on your risk sentiment that I do every morning. It's not 100% guaranteed, but it's a good reflection of risk. And keep an eye on the bubbles, and you should be okay. And just remember to trade safely.